Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Gran Turismo 7, and welcome to a bit of a different video where we're going to kind of dive deeper into this whole payout drama that still kind of lingers over GT7 to this day. And let's kind of look into the main complaints around payouts and see if there really is an actual issue there, or are people still basically going off how the game was at release. Now, the majority of us will know they've changed massively. However, have they changed enough? Let's jump in. So we're going to jump into America's first. This way I'll be able to basically take you through a few basic of events, and then we'll kind of jump into the more known ones to really, see if there is a bit of a weird difference in how payouts work. So Blue Moon Bay. Let's have a look at the first event. These are more beginner events. You get 10 grand for 3 laps of the speedway. Now, as long as it's an FR car and a road car from the United States, you can jump in pretty much anything. There's no PP limit. This is more of a, what I like to call a Sunday Cup events, where they're pretty much open to anything. And it's always been this way throughout GT's life. So no real problem there. And it's the same again here for the 3 laps of the infield. Pays a little bit more at 15 grand. Probably takes you a little bit more. But again, they're more beginner events, so I don't really see a problem here. These are low payouts, and kind of more beginner friendly events have always been that way within GT games, past and present. So next up, we're going to jump into another track, and I feel like this is where it's going to really show you a few of the issues. So let's go into Trial Mountain. As you can see here on the left, the more beginner event here, or the first event you'll do, is the 4-wheel drive challenge 600. This is a road car from Japan with 4-wheel drive, 2 laps, 20 grand. No problem there. Now, this is where the problem comes in for me, in my opinion, the World Rally Challenge. It's a 10-lap event in a Group B car, so that's the class limited ones, and basically you're going to get 65 grand for it. Not worth it at all. It's more of a checklist event, which is a shame, because I actually have fond memories of this event. I really enjoyed actually running it, but again, the payout just doesn't make me want to go back. And this is where a glaring problem is. For 5 laps in the hypercar parade, it's 100 grand, which is a chunk more change than what you get for doing double the laps in a slower category of car. It just doesn't really make any sense. We also have another 5-lap event, that being the Clubman Cup 700, which again, I believe doesn't have an actual limit on it. Maybe it does, I can't quite remember. Let's have a look. Yeah, okay, so yeah, no limit, but it's just a suggestion. So as long as it's a road car from America, you can go in anything as fast as you want. And again, this is where the more issues come in, looking at a 10-lap being 65, but a 5-lap being 100. If we go into Colorado Springs, for instance, as you can see, nobody really comes in here, and I don't really see a problem with that. I mean, 3 laps at Colorado Springs is pretty, decent for 56 grand. If we go to Watkins Glen, though, this is where I feel like the scaling should make more sense. So we've got, say, the American FR Challenge, where you can basically just jump in anything. Although there's a recommendation, you're not actually limited to what it says. So it says 550, but it's pretty much open. 32 grand, 3 laps of the short course. Then we have the middle one, the American Clubman Cup 700, 70 grand for 5 laps. Again, pretty much just jump in what you want. That kind of is okay. But the main problem there is the World Touring Car 800, 200 grand, 10 laps of the bigger circuit. Again, maybe just nudging this up slightly would actually encourage more people to go to these events to grind money. Whilst it's not as long as, say, Sardinia, it's still a bit of a longer event, and kind of bringing that payout more in line with, say, the likes of Sardinia, maybe to 250 to 300 grand, would maybe give people more in terms of options of actually grinding. Maybe they don't want to do, another 15 laps at Sardinia. Let's go over to Watkins Glen. Although it pays less, it's just a bit of a change. Now, this is what I mean. The payouts just seem all over the place. So let's go to our latest example, Road Atlanta. 37 grand, 3 laps, FR Challenge 550. Makes sense. Again, same with the Race of the Turbo sports cars. But this is the one that's really bothered me since its inclusion. 30 minutes, so you are time limited, 320,000 credits. This was one that they realistically should have brought more in line with Le Mans, and actually made the clean race bonus more possible to get. And more people, again, could have had another grinding option. So I'll show you the Circuit de la Sarthe one, the Le Mans one. So as you can see, 700 PP limit, so different, PP class, whatever you want to call it. Usually Group 4 cars, are the main ones to, realistically race here. 30 minutes. Again, yes, you have differing weather, but the payout's 550 grand, which is over 200k more for this exact same time. Maybe if they did the Road Atlanta, since that doesn't feature differing weather, to around about 50 grand less to kind of compensate for the differing weather at South or Le Mans, then, it would make sense, and it would, again, give people a different place to go and grind. So if we look at the 320 grand, it's 220,000 less without the clean race bonus. And the clean race bonus for the Road Atlanta one is much, much harder to get, whereas Le Mans is more guaranteed. It just doesn't make sense in terms of scaling. Like I said, maybe 50 grand less, but 230,000 less before clean race bonus. It's just absolutely just the strangest thing. Again, it could have opened the game up more as a fresh grinding event, and that's what I was really hoping for. But then to see the payout so low, as much as I love running this event because I love the group ones and it's completely different from the other grinding events, again, I just don't really see a reason to grind there too much because, well, I can go and do the exact same thing for a lot more money. Then we'll go into one of the more other famous ones. This is Sardinia. As you can see, it's realistically Group 3 cars, 800 pp or less, 485 grand before clean race bonus. It's 27,000 when you've got the kind of clean race bonus on it. Again, it's pretty much guaranteed. But then if we go and look, 200,000 for what, 5 laps less? Like I said, maybe boosting this up to 250 to 300 for clean race bonus for pretty much all of the 10 lap 800 events, and bringing them all kind of in line with each other or more scaled towards Sardinia, again, opens up the possibility of more grinding options within GT7, and that's what the game really needs. It's all good having 4 well-paying events, but just scaling the other ones up maybe to similar or maybe a little bit less would honestly open up this game massively, and I think this is where a lot of people have a problem. So Watkins Glen was 200,000 for 10 laps. We go over to Monza, and all of a sudden, the exact same, championship or whatever you want to call it, 147,000 for, 10 laps of Monza, with the 5 laps paying 85 grand. Again, the scaling just seems very, very off. It just really doesn't make any sense to me. We'll jump into Spa. So again, we have a 60-minute event. This is the only one that pays out $1 million. So this is the most you can get in a single event in GT7 with your claim race bonus of 1.5 million in an hour. It doesn't really scale correctly. You can essentially go and run the other events for the same for more money. But in terms of it being a 60-minute event, $1 million's really not that bad. But again, it's the only one of its kind, and I feel like because the other events are so easy and even easier to just not lose your clean race bonus and such, people will gravitate there. So whilst this is a a decent grind, a lot of people just won't necessarily touch it, and it's just one of the kind events. We definitely need more of these. I feel like $1 million to 1.5 million with a clean race bonus is pretty fair and scaled quite well. Now, if we go back into Spa, you have like the likes of this one, which is 5 laps of Spa, 125 grand. It's okay. And then you have some of the other ones that just, kind of random at what they pay out. It doesn't really make too much sense. So there we have those events. Now let's go into the Nurburgring, and this is the most recent one to stir up any controversy. I see a lot of people talking about this one, and I can see why. The European Clubman Cup 600, okay, 25 grand. Now, what would you think this event would be? Maybe, what, 2 laps of the usual GP layout? No, it's 2 laps of the Nordschleife for 25 grand. It's just, ridiculous. And then if you look at the 1 lap one next to it, 60 grand, okay? Which, okay, it's not great, but it's only a single lap, Where's the scaling here? Like, where's the actual sense behind it? And then you've got 5 laps for 80 grand of the GP, which, again, takes quite a while. I just feel like, especially Nordschleife, there's some really, really strange payouts there. It just doesn't make much sense. And to be honest, this is a 15 to, let's say, 20-minute max run, and 25 grand. It's just not viable. It's completely pointless, and it again just makes it a checklist event when in reality it could be a decent event. Then let's go to another famous one, the World Touring Car 600, and again another event that'll basically frustrate me when it arrived in the game. We'll talk about that in a minute. 550k, it's 825k with a clean race bonus. Yes, it's more difficult to get. I would say this one's definitely, worth it in terms of the challenge these days. I don't think it's really, I guess too harsh or too fair. But then we also have this one, 10 laps, same layout, and it's 200,000 credits in the 800 class. It just, again, makes no sense. It's only 2 laps less. Yes, the cars are, a bit faster, but you still have the differing weather and such. So 200 grand, again, it's another event that's gone to waste because the payout is just far too low. So I can understand why myself and other people got frustrated when this event entered for the payout to, again, be so low that nobody goes there to run it, when in reality, I'd say that's more of a fun event. It's a lot more fresh considering the cars are faster. It's group free around Tokyo instead of road cars, and it just feels much, much better in my honest opinion. So again, another wasted potential grinding event. Then we have some more I'm going to touch on. I'm going to touch on Suzuka. So 10 laps, 800, 168 grand. 10 laps with a Group 1, 175 grand. Again, 2 big missed opportunities there for a bit better payout and maybe more kind of expansion in terms of, grinding events. And I feel like this is really what we're getting on about here. As you can see, the other Group 1 10 lap event at Daytona, 115 grand. Yes, it should pay a little bit less because you don't have to worry about weather. But in reality, again, it's not really an event anyone's going to run. Then we've got the likes of the 730, 10 laps for 200 grand and the 800 for 154 grand. Again, just feels like missed opportunities. Bump them up a little bit more and I can guarantee people will flood straight to them. So yes, I agree with people, there's a lot of oddities in the system we have. Now, I've always said if they scaled custom race payouts, this essentially takes them away from the need of making events and lets us essentially do our own grinding event. So we're going to have a look at the Group 1 event. So let's use this and we'll go into custom race and essentially mirror the same settings, as close as we possibly can. So you get, what, 320k for half an hour. We're going to basically, put the same settings in here, limit it to Group 1 and such. And let's have a look what this does to the payouts in terms of a custom version. And this is where a massive problem is. And this is where people feel like it's very, very limited. I think we all know at this point, Polyphony can't really scale events accordingly. So if it's left to our own devices and we kind of mirror that same event, we should essentially be coming out with, well, that payment, surely. But I'm going to copy and paste this one, put it on professional difficulty. And as you can see, yeah, that's the payout for the exact same event pretty much. 36,000 for 30 minutes. This is why custom races just feel like such a waste within GT7 because the possibilities are endless. We could essentially just make our own endurance races, but really why should we if the payouts are so low? It just really doesn't make any sense in terms of the game. But opening this up and scaling them correctly would essentially take away that need, like I said, for Polyphony to make events and leaves it down to us, as well as opens that game up massively to the player base. I also then went and did the same thing with Sardinia, so we're going to set it to 15 laps, basically put it to Group 3 like the rest of the cars that run with you are, and we'll see what payout it gives us. So we're going to put the damage on, the tyre wear is going to be pretty much the same, and then we're going to see where this game's actually at, or where this race is actually at in terms of the payout compared to, the whatever it is, 400 odd thousand credits that you get for just running it normally. So we're going to set it to same category, so Group 3, put it on professional difficulty, put the usual settings on of, basically penalising you where it should. So strong shortcut penalties, car collision penalties, we'll keep that off, pit lane cut-in, flag rules and such. 22,000 credits. This is what I mean. Custom races are such a waste and the scaling of this game just makes zero sense. Yes, you can say there's microtransactions in the game, but they're also a thing that just doesn't make sense anyway. They're not really in your face, to be quite honest. And in fact, the pricing for 2 million credits makes no sense. I feel like they're almost kind of just put in there as an afterthought. But what isn't an afterthought is the actual payouts. It just makes no sense in terms of, let's say car scaling and, how much they cost and such, and how much time it should realistically take to earn each car. So in essentially what is my 2-part series this weekend on ways Gran Turismo 7 could be massively improved, this is going to be it. So open up those custom races, scale the payouts properly in your events that you already have within the game, and trust me, the replayability factor for this game will instantly shoot up, especially the custom race ones. That is a must. Doing that would essentially just allow us to create our own events, run our own endurance events, and, you know, make it worth our while. I mean, 200,000 credits for 24 hours as well just makes zero sense, considering we can go to Spa and, you know, get 1 to 1.5 million per hour. So let me know your thoughts. Do you still think there's a payout issue within GT7? In all honesty, I can't really blame microtransactions at this point. I don't think they're as bad as they once were. I just think there's very limited on what actually pays decent. And I think that's where the problem is. Make it more replayable. Look, Polyphony, just forget about the microtransactions at this point. They're honestly not a big deal. We can quite easily go and earn our money elsewhere. So the fact that you just limit off certain events compared to others just doesn't make sense at this point. I wouldn't even say microtransactions are really anyone's second thought at this point. In all honesty, the scaling's never made sense. I mean, you know, what's £17 for 2 million credits, which we can, you know, quite easily go and get in around about just over an hour, doesn't really make any sense from a monetary standpoint, or whatever you want to go at it with. So realistically, just make sure the payments scale, open up the custom races, and trust me, this community will be doing their own awesome endurance races in no time. So that's going to be it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn those notifications on. Thank you so much for watching my ways to repair GT7 over this weekend. We'll go back to more normal content this week, and obviously I'll keep you updated on any news for this game that's coming along. Don't forget to check out my Twitter, my Discord, and my donation link in the description down below, as well as a big thank you to my sponsors, the Controller People and Poggers, for their support recently. As always, have a great day, take care of yourself, and I'll see you all later on. Peace.